Greetings, my Legionnaires, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm but one of your hosts. And joining me this week, and as always, is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how's it going?
Doing pretty good, Jimmy. How you doing?
Pretty good. We getting like Trucker Hat Joe, where I can't see your eyes. Is this part of your mysterious enigma you're trying to emanate here?
You know, days change people. Weeks really change people. I'm a changed man.
What happened to you to change you into this this entity that you've become?
Life is rough.
Life.
But if life was easy, everybody would do it. Yeah.
I wonder how many people we've lost. Anyway, as far as like viewership, it's just these are the questions that plague my nightmares. But anyway, Trucker Hat Joe.
Yeah.
THJ. Welcome to the show. Welcome everybody else. If this is your first time joining us here, we're talking movies, we're talking video games, we're talking TV shows, we're talking cookbooks. If we find one, because it's getting towards the holiday season. We love cooking, but mostly just looking at the pretty pictures. That's
normally I let the old lady handle that kind of stuff, but every once in a while I like to shoot me a squirrel and throw her on the pan.
We at Critical Reviews do not endorse shooting squirrels and throwing them in the pan. Probably not tasty, maybe even illegal. I don't know.
Like chicken, Jimmy, like chicken.
Like chicken. Like free chicken. Chicken's just running around under trees.
Yeah,
actually,
goes really well with a Canada Dry ginger ale. Crisp, cold, refreshing. Little squirrel on the side. That's makings of a good meal right there.
Our Canada Dry sponsorship, if we had it, would be pulled immediately upon seeing this video. Hopefully they'll just give it to us and they will never watch this, which I really do need to talk to them. Side note, I was walking around tonight and the squirrel was on a tree and it was super duper loud. I don't know, it was like doing this kind of weird noise and startled me. So yeah, watch out for that.
Yeah, sometimes you get them squirrels that got a little mange, and that mange drives them a little crazy, They get all agitated and start screaming and squelching on the trees. Those are the ones you gotta stay away from.
So many questions. Anyway,
so I got your answers.
What is squelching?
It's like when you're on the CB driving truck and the guy's got a squelch turned up, so all you hear is over the radio, and you're trying to ask about bears in the air and bear caves and road coppers up road,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because remember, if you're unfamiliar with a bear in the air, it's a police helicopter. A bear cave, isn't that a police station?
That is.
Okay,
yeah.
I always remember the gator. Which is like a blown up tire. There's like a gator on the road or someone. I don't know if that was like a trucker.
Yeah, where your tire tread comes unraveled, makes a big bang.
Yep.
Yeah. I had what else the other day? Hit a squirrel and it ripped the tread right off my tire. I tell you what.
You know what else makes a big bang? A brand new trailer for the new Star Wars Battlefront 2 game coming out by EA. And Joe and I watched it. It'll be linked down below. But Joe, I wanted to get your thoughts on this magical trailer starring the one and only charismatic, everybody loves him, Finn, John Boyega, who he's so excited about this game. Doesn't look like he's being held hostage at all. Or, he's happy to be there.
The one thing I can say about it is at least his voice, like he's got a good speaking voice. It sounds cool when he's talking about it. And watching that trailer and all the featurette, that game looked really cool, graphically and like aspects and environments. It looked neat. Like I'm not a Star Wars guy. I played the first Battlefront 1 beta. When it came out last year, I think in the fall. Was
that last year or 2 years ago?
Maybe even 2 years ago. It was before Overwatch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been.
It was mediocre at best.
Yeah, it was fine. I want to touch on something before we get more into this, but do you think it's disingenuous at all to have John Boyega on here and use his actual real British accent, but then when he's in the films as Finn, he has like an American accent? Do you think it would have been better if they're like, hey, get into the character of Finn as Finn and talk about this game? Do you think that would have helped it at all? Or is the
No,
British...
I think it's all right. I think people get obsessed with the actors that play these iconic characters.
Yeah, you're right.
They get involved with the character. They're like, oh, what's the actor's name? Oh yeah, what's he doing? I'm gonna follow him on Instagram. Oh, hey, look, I like this game. He's talking about it. He probably likes it too. I like this guy. I like this guy. I'm getting this game, by the way. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Plus, he has a good voice for just talking like that. You know, his accent is it's a little unique, even I'd say. It's British, but it's I don't know. It's got a nice sound to it.
Yeah, well, I think also they're targeting the right demographic with him being there because you could put Ray
Yeah.
there, or you could put like Mark Hamill, I should say, Daisy or Mark, and then like it's like but like even though Mark Hamill is a very talented voice actor, and he'd have a lot of fun with that because he'd want to get like really goofy and weird. That's not what they're going for. They want this game to be hip and cool and edgy-ish, and that
Not
he's
to
perfect.
mention, yeah, and as he was talking about it, almost gave it a little bit of a. I know epic to you is a word reserved for things that are truly off the charts. But he kind of, the way he talks about it and the eloquency in which he does it, I think he tries to put an epic spin on the way he's talking about it, or an epic spin on the vibes of the game and the new features. I think that's accomplished. I think it's well done. And yeah, so it was interesting. I thought the thing that caught my eye the most was the environments.
Yes. So like, what about those environments specifically to you? Is it just because they stand out because they look so good, or they're just varied enough that you want to be in them?
Yeah, I think they're varied enough. Well, not only have they added more than the previous installment, but there's a lot of intricacies to them. Like the one that stood out to me the most was this temple type map. I noticed, he went into this through an opening and into this corridor type deal and shot somebody, then went back out, and vegetation and all that. It was really, really neat looking, diverse, a lot of nooks and crannies to add different aspects to the gameplay. Where's this person hiding? Adds a lot of cover, and I like that in a PvP type game mode where you can't intuitively pick out everything.
Yeah.
You don't always know where people are going to be. The more nooks and crannies they give a PvP environment, the better. I think it makes it a lot more fun. So that really spoke to me. But it looks good. And more weapons and all that, more vehicles, I think that's all the better. The last one just felt a little stale right away, a little grindy.
Yeah, and I think I would say one thing that was a problem that Battlefield's always had too is that the actual literal battlefields you're on are just so open and wide, and it's just like sometimes you just be running, you just running the whole time. But these environments that you're fighting in for Star Wars, it looks like they're so densely packed. Like you're talking about all those nooks and crannies. Like
Yep.
there was not really that in Battlefield. You like found a building and you're like, all right, I can go to the top of that building, or I can kind of be at the base of that building.
Yeah.
But you had to like run like 2 miles, almost like literally, to get to that building.
And sometimes that was just a luck of the draw. Oh, there aren't any points to spawn on, so you had to spawn back at the original spawn point, which is like a mile out, which sucked. But I will say Battlefield 1 in particular, I thought it was good. It was well done. There were always enough players on either team that you weren't always like unendingly searching for somebody. I mean, it was fast paced enough that you were finding people, you were getting in the mix, and it was fun. Sometimes the World War I style weaponry can be a little difficult, especially when you get in those tight scenarios. That's why a lot of people, I think, rely on sniping because it's more fun and you don't have to run around as much. And the close quarter gunplay is a little difficult in that game, I think. So, but I don't know, this Battlefront Star Wars, this one catches my attention a bit more than the first. So,
do any of the hero units stand out to you? Because I know that's kind of a thing they're pushing a lot more. It seems like in this game, especially varied units from not only just the original trilogy, but the prequel trilogy and now the current trilogy we're in now. Does any of those jump out at you where you're like, man, I get to play as like Yoda or Darth Maul or Boba Fett? Is there anybody there where you're like, that person's cool?
Well, I don't know anybody who's ever looked at Darth Maul and not said, wow, that guy looks badass.
I'd say if you don't say that, you don't have a soul, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even Haley, she appreciates Darth Maul, thinks he's the coolest guy ever. But so that one stood out to me. But yeah, those are all like characters within, but there's also like classes like heavy, officer, specialist, right?
I'm really happy you brought that up because that was one thing going into this. I thought, oh, I think they talked about that at E3 about having classes, but now they're like, we have a class-based system because that's how the old Battlefront games, Battlefront 2 kind of more specifically, got into. And it's so much better, Joe, because like anybody, like in that beta we played, it was just like everybody was everybody, like no one had a purpose. Like in Battlefield, it's so crucial to be like, hey, we have a medic. We've got like an assault guy who can take up the tanks. Like you have to have like a well-balanced team. Exactly. And now it seems they're finally moving to that. And it's like, good, more so, please. More of that class-based stuff because people like that. So I like that. It's just,
it promotes teamwork and not everybody's going to be doing the same thing because of that. So that's good. Diversifies the entire gameplay. Separate, unrelated note, I apologize for the way I'm talking. I probably sound a little nasally, a little lispy. I kind of got a sinus issue going on here. Have been for almost a week.
I'm sorry. You sound fine to me. You sound good.
Okay, well, good. I just, I got to apologize to those listeners just in case. They're like, what's with Joe? Why is he talking like he's bored and like tired?
No, it's all right. They're just like, oh, he's talking about Star Wars, so he's just checking. No, I'm just kidding. One thing I'll say to wrap this up about this game, I'm actually excited, at the concept of the campaign because that's something they didn't really have in the first one. And one of my favorite things about Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2 back on PS2, is they had a really fun campaign where you lived the life of a clone trooper that slowly moved into a stormtrooper. And this one kind of being like a stormtrooper or like female commander of the Empire after the fall of the Empire. Like that's an interesting story. Like I am interested to know what happened immediately after 6 and going into 7 because there's like, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of troops that were loyal to the Empire. And then just because the Emperor dies, it's like there's a power vacuum there. So what happens to all of them? So I don't know. I just think it's really interesting. And honestly, when she was like walking through the corridors, that's when I started to really pick up on a lot of the outstanding visuals, even more so like the textures in her armor, like leather and like other stuff. Like I could see that like as she was moving, it was like changing with the lighting and stuff. And one thing I'll say about that first game for Battlefront 1 is it is honestly just the best looking and best sounding Star Wars I've ever seen. And obviously they've taken that pedigree and they've just moved it to this game. And I think that this game is going to be a bit more like with Destiny 2, a little bit more what they've kind of envisioned their initial outing to be, but now they have that kind of solid footing, and now they can just feel like, yeah, we have the visuals, we have the sounds, now we just need to make a really fun game that people want to play. So yeah, I'm interested in it. We'll see. We'll probably try the beta out, Joe. Maybe see how it goes. See if third person is still as overpowered as we liked it. Because it was like first person, it was really pretty, and obviously you got to take it all in. The third person was almost mandatory because like not only were you a better player, but it made you like aware of like the million things that are happening on your peripheries. Because like there's always like 10 dudes or things happening, people flying over the top of you, like bombs and stuff. It's like, so you go to first person mode, and it's just like really overwhelming. But maybe switch that to the corridors. I don't know, but yeah. Joe, I need a hypometer. Give me a 0 to 100 degrees or whatever you want to tell me.
I think at the moment, until I start watching like some early access gameplay, like legitimate gameplay videos, being that I haven't seen any of that yet, I'm gonna give her a strong, well-deserved 7.5.
Okay. As I say, I'm right around there too, or 70 degrees or whatever. It's like a breezy, like a nice day. I'm kind of interested. It's not. I'm not hot under the collar yet. I need to play it a little bit, but
yeah, beta will probably change my mind big time.
You and I will probably play beta and be like, well, pretty much the same thing as last time. Like I hope not. I hope the class-based system, like more Overwatch style kind of thing, where it's like, hey, Joe, you do the heavy, and I'll be like the support or whatever, and kind of work together because it's just so much more fun to defeat people as a team, I think. So yeah. All right, Joe, we're moving on. We're gonna talk. We're gonna do top 3 this week because people love top 3s. I love top 3s, and I'm just saying everybody loves them. And
what? Top 3?
I know, because this week there wasn't a ton of news, and I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart.
Sure.
Weapons, man. Weapons.
Weaponry.
We are the Legion. Critical Reviews, we have a group of individuals, our Legionnaires, and they are bloodthirsty folks. And I know because, well, I'm one of the generals of the Legion, and I love them so much. I love them so much. But I want to talk about my favorite 3 weapons from video games. Joe's got 3 weapons he loves as well. And we're going to talk about them in no necessarily particular order. And there are so many weapons out there. There's so many. And we're not going to be able to obviously cover, there'll be 6 in total. And if there's a few weapons on there that you're like, how did you leave that off your personal favorite best list? It's because these are the games and the weapons that mean the most to us, maybe even on a personal level. Can something be that personal? Well, yes, it can. Because I'm taking out personnel with it.
Ciao.
I'm sorry, I hate myself. Anyway, Joe, do you want to start us off with number 3, or would you like me to begin?
I would like you to begin, Jimmy.
All right. So there's this little franchise. There's this little franchise called Ratchet and Clank, and Ratchet and Clank boasts a impressive arsenal over the years. There's been the craziest weapons you can think of. Chief among them might be like a disco ball that you can shoot out, like the Groovatron, and everybody has to dance. Then you can shoot them, turning people into sheep. The bouncer, which is like a big bomb that explodes into a bunch of other little bombs. But the one that always stuck with me might not be the one you're thinking, because the Rhino is the one that usually people go to. Joe, that's an acronym for Rip You a New One. Rhino. And in every game they usually had a Rhino, and it was just like a very powerful weapon that would just decimate people. However, the gun I'm thinking of was from Up Your Arsenal, the Ratchet and Clank, their 3rd outing on PS2. And this one is called the Rift Ripper. It starts off as the Rift Inducer, and I'd like to read you a little brief description of it, if you will.
1 hour later.
So, the Rift Inducer is a small light blue carbine with a polygonal nozzle and a left-hand grip. It fires black holes which pull every enemy surrounding them. Which pull in every enemy surrounding them. Hey, this Wikipedia is not very good.
Grammar.
The Rift Ripper is a larger, dark blue and purple weapon, which it basically eventually, Joe, you're shooting out black holes. And then
dangerous,
risky. Yes. And so what it would do is you could shoot one out and it would pull a small enemy in, or eventually what it would do is if you could shoot multiple black holes at each other, it would make a bigger one, and it would literally pull in bigger guys, or it'd shoot lightning at the ones it couldn't kill. So it just, like, if it couldn't pull in a gigantic enemy, it would just shoot tons of lightning at them. And there's something so, like, deliciously sadistic.
Sinister.
Yeah, or that too, about like seeing a group of enemies and just shooting like 2 little black holes, and they just all get sucked in, and like they're dead, like they're just like compressed and they're gone. But like for some odd reason, you could walk by it and it was fine. But like they would just shoot out little gears or bolts that you could collect. But man, it was such a fun gun. I just remember just shooting in that game, and just you get it later on, and I was just like, what is this gun? Because you get so many wacky guns, and then they're like, here's like a black hole gun, and you're like, what? Like, you're like, yeah, you got problems with like 20 enemies, just shoot like 2 of these over there, and they just get sucked in, and you just see them, they go spiraling like off, like they get pulled in and they just get sucked in and they're just gone. I'm like, so gratifying. Absolutely love.
Just always point it away from yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much all the guns in those Ratchet and Clank games. You just like you just fire it and just kind of maybe go the other direction. But yeah, man, this gun is super duper good. I really enjoy it. I mean, black hole gun. What else do I have to say? It's black hole gun. Look it up. Up Your Arsenal. One of the greats. PS2. I love it. All right, Joe. Give me your bronze, or just give me your. We said no particular order. Just give me your 3rd pick. What's number 3, or what's one of the 3?
All right. I feel like this is a very standard and popular weapon in the Halo franchise. I am not a super huge Halo fan by any means, but I can appreciate many aspects within. This game, or this gun weapon, always stood out to me. So I'm not picking the sword.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, he's not picking that plasma sword, baby.
Although that sword is pretty BA.
Oh,
but
sure.
anyway, This weapon is unique, kind of one-off. You never really see anything like it elsewhere. It's colorful. It's fast. It's versatile. It's just all the things you want, and I just always found it intriguing. It is none other than the Needler. Boom.
Needler.
I said what I could about it. I just think it's really cool. I love that it's kind of a rapid fire type of deal, and then the shards of crystal explode in the enemy. Neat. Whenever you could pick that up in the PvP, I always felt pretty good about it. I run out of ammo so darn quick.
Yeah. As a counterpoint, like when I think of like Gears of War and their torque bow, which is like, you hit somebody once with a powerful hit and then it explodes and they blow up in a bunch of like blood and stuff. Even in the campaigns, like the Needler was fun because you'd land a ton of hits on maybe like a stronger enemy, and then you'd be like, okay, I did some damage, and then they would all explode, and then the guy would just go flying backwards. It's just like so gratifying. And then when you click in to reload and you see all the needles pop through, you're like, oh, that's how much of my magazine. Like, it's a visual representation of how many shots you have left, and you can just see it. It doesn't have to have a number or anything. It's just like
that's another thing that's really cool. Like a lot of the assault rifles and weapons nowadays in some of those future games have like a digital counter on them.
Yeah.
If you really read that as you're playing quickly, Twitch style, no, you can't. So, yeah. But the Needler, that's one aspect about it that you gotta love. You don't have to look at the counter. You can look right at the body of the weapon itself, which is cool. And it always bugged me OCD style when it didn't have a full thing needles.
Yep. Every time I was like, I'd go running around looking for more because I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. I need to find this. And they kind of like those needles seek like a little bit, like heat seek a little. And so like they do some damage upon initial impact and then big damage afterwards. Like it's just a fun, showy gun, man. I'm totally with you. You get dual needlers, man. Oh boy, just hold the triggers down and go to town. Oh man, just
heck
love it. Good pick, man. Good pick. Oh man.
Sure.
We talked about that earlier. I didn't think you picked that. It's a good choice. Good choice. All right, Joe. My next one happens to be one that you saw coming. We were just talking about this game, or I did mention it for a second. But when you think iconic, you think of something that isn't always the most flashy, or just something that maybe could be, just so standard in a game, but to everyone else is so breathtaking, almost something people had never seen before, something that is so great in its utility and overall use in the game that it feels like you're kind of naked when you don't have it. I am, of course, talking about a gun from Gears of War. I'm talking about the Lancer. The Lancer is a gun that can do okay at long range, great at medium range, pretty good at short range for the assault rifle that it is. But the bayonet, Joe, the fact that it's got a chainsaw bayonet makes it undoubtedly one of the most lethal things in the whole Gears of War franchise, which is pretty impressive because every gun in that game seems to be terrifyingly lethal, like blowing people apart. The only drawback is you can't really use it on bigger enemies. Not yet. But I'm thinking that Gears of War 5 or 6, Joe, we're going to start being able to chainsaw off legs and arms of bigger enemies, like boomers and things. It's going to happen, man. Like, our team takedowns, like you and I go and chainsaw at the same time and go for both the thighs, like oh boy. And honestly, a lot of people, and I had this experience back when I was in college or with my own family, where they was like, Jimmy, that's disgusting. How can you enjoy chainsawing through another creature like that? I dare you, have that person try to do it once themselves and ask them how they feel. Not only is it empowering, not only is it fun, but oh my gosh, it's addictive. And I will never forget playing the first Gears of War over at my buddy's house, and I was thinking like, wow, not only is this game gorgeous, and like we've jumped from just like the PS2 Xbox to like this new 360, like oh my gosh, but chainsawing through a wretch and thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? And how little I knew that I would be doing that 1,000 times, just like through multiple games, just every time, and each one feels good. And then not only that, but they've changed it a little bit. So sometimes, like, you like chainsaw, like starting at the stomach and work your way up, as opposed to starting from like the clavicle and working your way down. They've got different executions where you can like one of my favorites, just like get them on the ground and like just shove it like the blade into the stomach of your enemy and just mince meat, just like, oh my gosh. If you play that game and listen to Chainsaw by Family Force 5, I mean, there might not be better moments in your life than that. So I highly recommend it. The Lancer.
Chainsaw Family Force 5. Wow, look that one up.
Dude, yeah, we actually we danced to that at my sister's wedding. Because that's what you do. That's what you do. Anyway, I love the Lancer. And Joe, I know you're newer to the Gears of War franchise, but how do you feel about that gun in particular? You've had your experiences with it.
I often found myself falling back to it as my standard weapon all the time.
Yep, always good.
If I had a chance to pick one up, I would.
Yep, even I like the Retro Lancer, but it just doesn't hold a candle to that old, just so consistent.
Exactly. It's consistent. It's a well-rounded weapon. I mean, you can just go ham with it. And then that versatility of up-close combat is great.
Yeah. Well-rounded. So, that's the word I was looking for earlier. It is completely well-rounded. There's like, it doesn't have a flaw. It's just like, yep.
Plus, you gotta love the whole up close and personal, and you're just like,
oh yeah,
the sound and all that. You gotta love it. So
and the sheer terror of when they introduced in Gears of War 2 the blade, like the bayonet, like actual fighting where you go up with like another guy, like, and you're like both going back and forth. You're pressing B really fast, like, I got him, like, you know.
You break the B button.
Oh yeah, totally. Because if you lost that, you couldn't get respawned, which made sense because like somebody cut you in half. So, yeah, man. Lancer, I love you. You're beautiful. You have my heart. I even have that's like one of the shirts, like only Gears of War shirts I have, and it says just "Born to Saw." I should have worn that tonight. I didn't realize I should have done it, but another time. It's one of the only shirts I have that's just like a big gun on there. People are like, "Oh, what's that nice looking? Oh, is that a gun?" I'd be like, "Yes, this is a Lancer." It's beautiful. Also, the name, just so cool. Just so cool. Anyway, Joe, give me another weapon. Let me know. What's another weapon that you love? It doesn't have to necessarily be a gun, but if you know, guns are good.
It's a gun.
It's like you just produced like a child or whatever, like a doctor.
Congratulations, it's a gun. Yeah. So the gun I'm gonna be talking about here is the FNFAL from Call of Duty Black Ops 1.
What?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You may think, wow, what an obscure pick. And, I've played that game. I hated that gun. It was stupid. It was a peon gun. It was a single-shot, semi-automatic assault rifle. But here's the thing. I found it to be one of the most versatile weapons in the game. I liked that it was a single shot for accuracy. I liked that it did quite a bit of damage. You know, it was the closest to a sniper rifle you could get and still stay in the assault class. So you could even get close quarter kills with it if you're quick and accurate enough. I really enjoyed that weapon. I would run it on some of the larger maps in Black Ops 1. And I would always attach a silencer suppressor, and I would always put on a reflex sight, which is like a medium zoom, small red dot, but a scope nonetheless. And that made it versatile for long range kills as well as more up close battling. So with the Ghost Pro and the suppressor, I could go undiscovered for a long match, you know. I could just rank up the kills, and I've had some good experiences with that gun, and I felt it just to be basic, kind of bare bones, but for some reason I liked it for that reason.
Sure.
Like, yeah, when somebody's watching the kill cam and you're using the FNFAL, they don't expect it. They're like, what? You know, like, yep, single shot, gotcha, and you even had the jump on me, you know. So one of my favorite guns from that game, and just really appreciate it for being a very standard but deadly gun. So
cool, man. That's actually really cool.
Two.
Nice. I honestly
nostalgic, man.
I thought you picked like the Commando or like the FAMAS or something like that. Those are like the ones I liked from Black Ops 1.
The Commando was good. That was probably a close second.
That's a great. It's got like all like the wraps around it to like the belts or whatever.
Yeah,
like it's like like oh this is like a
nice stock to it, and it was accurate. It did a lot of damage too.
Yeah, it was like if you could fire an M16 like not burst mode, that's what it felt like. It was just like a little spread, and you're just like, yep, you just drop people with that gun.
Exactly.
But yeah, FAMAS is good too, but FNFAL, man.
Yeah,
cool that's a cool pick.
Thank you.
All right, Joe. I have to talk about my favorite weapon. Now I've been hearing all the things you've been saying, but I want to switch it up a little bit. You can sense the turmoil. There's two weapons in mind, but they're both melee focused. And I think because of my love of the look of this one, and even though you don't necessarily play with it, it's kind of always assumed, or in a sense it's there. But I'm going to say that one of my favorite weapons of all time would have to be the Harvester from Darksiders. That is Death's Scythe. The actual manifestation of death with this big super duper scythe. And from reading the book that I've been reading right now, The Abomination Vault, that you find out how versatile this weapon is. Not only can it be one big scythe, but you can break it into two little scythes. In the book, it's even like you can switch to a lance, two knives. Like, it's just so cool, and it's just basically extracting the souls on top of just like basically just murdering people, just like cutting them down. And it's such a cool looking weapon. Even back in the first Darksiders, when you get it with War, you kind of just big sweeping AoE type of thing, like purple, just like gorgeous looking effects, especially with the War Mastered Edition. And I just love that, and I love getting to play with literally Death Scythe, like, you know, in a game. I never played too much of Dante's Inferno, where that's like your main weapon. But I've always kind of appreciated that sort of thing. And to have that be like the main focus, or scythes in general, I think those are really cool, unwieldy weapons in the real world. But if you're a Nephilim who can kind of break it down and have magic and be really strong, it's like, that's a pretty cool weapon. And it's very pointed, not only literally, but it's just, it's not really a question, you know, with like a sword or something else, or like War, that's more of a conflict type of thing. But with Death and with a scythe, there's only one purpose. There's you know, if War is an exclamation point, then Death is a period. You know, it's just like nothing to talk about. And that's why I think a scythe, especially Death Scythe, is just the coolest. It's the design of it too, especially if you look at the ones when he transforms fully into the Reaper, where he gets the cloak and the wings. Like, there's this just big thing, just like full of skulls, and it's just like you're just hacking people down. It's just like, I would not like that. Is just terror right there, man. It's just, how do you even face something like that? So, yeah, You don't. Exactly, you don't. I love it. I love it so much, and I love that a video game has allowed me to play as that. So, like, seriously, that's so cool. So yeah, Joe, those are my three for now. I mean, we could just come back and do this every couple of weeks, because I'd have another three. I'm like ready to go. But Joe, give me your last weapon. Unless you wanted to talk about Harvester for a second. If you had anything to say, maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I don't really. I mean, I like the concept, the whole death thing, and it's a scythe. I love that. But I'm just gonna get right into mine.
Do it.
My numero uno, the creme de la creme. It's a shotgun. It's the AA-12 from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
What? Is that the one that was like the super long range that everyone was angry about?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't really play too much.
You know, it's the most powerful shotgun there is, basically. It has a magazine that carries, like, I don't know how many. I mean, in real life, I don't know how many. I've heard that you can get them to carry like 30 shells, but 30 rounds. But
dang.
It was featured in a movie too. I think it might have been in like the first Expendables.
So yes, I don't remember if it was that one or the second one, but Terry Crews used it, and it's a fully automatic shotgun. Or it's like, boom, 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 boom.
And it's like, oh hey, there's a brick wall there. We got to get to the other side. Just freaking blow a hole in it with a shotgun. That is the coolest shotgun on earth. And apparently you can buy one for like $15,000. But anywho, it's just amazing. And that movie kind of brought it to realism and real life for me. I thought, oh man, that thing is awesome and just amazing. And Call of Duty, yeah, Modern Warfare 2, I played quite a bit of it, and I really liked using that as my secondary weapon. Switch off the assault rifle. I'm in a building. Yeah, AA-12, that's where I'm going. Because, oh, wait, there's two of you? Gone.
You couldn't dual wield it, could you?
I don't know if you could dual wield that. Okay. I mean, in real life, if you dual wielded one of those, you'd probably be knocked on the ground. But
sure. Yeah.
So obviously, I think the name establishes it as like a 12 gauge. Yeah, I mean, it's just rapid fire shotgun that you could blow holes and stuff with. It was super powerful.
Yeah, and I know one of the most gratifying things, especially in like a Call of Duty, is to kind of come around a corner with a shotgun and be like, thump, and just like someone's done. Like you're gone.
Or in this case, thump, 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 thump.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're close enough, I bet you.
The last 5 were like just for good measure.
Yeah, oh for sure. You gotta be a double check, which they should definitely do in a first-person shooter sometime, Joe. Like they should have like you could still be alive, like have like 1 health point left, and then someone's just like, oh yeah, I gotta double tap. But yeah, man, that's cool, dude. Shotguns. There's so many good games, so many good shotguns, but this one obviously speaks to you, and you've had a lot of experience with it. And
oh yeah. Plus, it's a real life thing, man. Well, so is the FNFAL. I appreciate a lot of weapons from a lot of games. Destiny, which I'm heavy into right now, I love all those weapons. But I like the realistic weapons that are real in real life. That this is probably the closest I'll ever get to experiencing them in video game capacity, and establishes my love for them. I'm not big on guns or anything. I don't own guns, but I mean, I'd go for a day at the range with an AA-12 and a FNFAL for fun,
That sounds like a Critical Reconnaissance vlog if I've ever heard one. Jimmy and Joe at the range. Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Joe got a concussion because he fell backwards shooting the AA-12. Shot all 30 rounds, and last 2 he fell back on.
If any of the Legionnaires know a gun range that will let you rent out an AA-12 that's near you, please let us know. We would love to come by.
Pretty sure that's illegal, isn't it? I mean, maybe a gun range can do it, because I've seen gun ranges that have fully automatic weapons, but it's only like a for fun, shoot it in the range and that's it. But you can't buy a fully auto weapon in real life, right? Unless it's like backdoor dealings.
Yeah, well, we're probably gonna have to try to find FPS Russia. So please tweet at FPS Russia and ask him to come out for us to come out. We'll do a video. I don't know if he's still doing them. I will use accent and I will say, I am Russian like you. We can shoot these things. Joe will hold both AA-12s. He will shoot them very strong. Joe does not talk. Joe don't say a thing. We're gonna get kicked out of here.
I'll just stand there and
he's like, I don't know if we should trust this guy. I'd be like, he's fine. Do not worry. That would be fun.
Sounds more like you're Transylvanian, but whatever.
Welcome to my lair. It does slide into Transylvanian for sure. Cool, man. So again, in summary here, Joe's dying. He's muted himself because he's coughing to death. If only you could see this. Anyway, Joe picked the FNFAL, the Needler, and the AA-12. And over here, I picked the Rift Ripper, the Lancer, and the Harvester. Yes, we want to know your favorite weapons, though, down below. And that'll probably be our community feedback question for next week. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. We'll see about that. I'd love to know what you guys' favorite weapons are. We maybe talked about this in the past, but there's just so many out there, and they can be so fantastical and so crazy. I could do a few weeks talking about the weapons from just Ratchet and Clank alone. Just about 1,000.
Yeah, well, true. Should we do? Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Should we do like an ginger ale, cold crisp, and hurtful?
We lost him. He's gonna die. See, he came back. He unmuted himself because he thought he was ready.
And I wasn't. Then I make myself laugh. God, I died.
So if we lost some
We
people,
should do an honorary 4th place or an honorary mention.
Oh, you want to do an honorary mention or for like a last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We can totally
I'll tell
do
you
that.
right now, it's from Gears of War, and you get to play it at the beginning of the campaign story mode in the last Gears of War 4. Say it, Jimmy. It's all on you, man.
Is it the Hammer of Dawn?
Yeah. Come on, man.
I love
Coolest
the Hammer
thing ever.
I love it so much. That's why I was telling Joe in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to double down on one franchise for like super weapons or just like coolest weapons. But the Hammer of Dawn, like if you're unfamiliar with what it is, it basically you have a little gun that has a little laser pointer on it. It doesn't do any damage itself, but you can point it at the ground, you point it at an enemy, and it calls down a beautiful crimson and orange beam of death from the sky, and you can only use it when you're outside. So like when you're outside and they're like, hey, Hammer of Dawn's online, you're just like laying waste, and you can like move the laser around, and then the beam follows it and just turns people into mincemeat. Oh gosh, it is so gratifying and fun. I love it so much.
I felt guilty because in the story mode where it was me and you going through it, co-op, I got to use it and you didn't, and I felt really guilty about it.
Dude, don't feel. I'm happy. Like as long as you're enjoying it, as long as I get to bathe in that red glow, then I'm happy. Like that is like my happy place. If I could just get to absorb the beauty and just be like, oh, like it just.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
How terrifying, like, you know, and you just give that just like a few laser pointers to some people, and it's like, hey, if you guys need to call down the satellite laser beam, just do it whenever you need to. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, such a fun weapon. It's so cool, just like thematically, because when you fight a lot of underground, you know, like throughout those games or inside like a building, and you can't use it then. It's like, well, you're in, like, you can't shoot it. So I always appreciate that because it's so cool. Yes, I love it. And then in Horde mode, you can upgrade like your command center to call down hammer strikes. So then you can just like hit that at the beginning of a round. You just see like 10 of them fall down from the sky, and it's like, yes.
Heck yeah.
Yep. I love it so much. All right, Joe. We're not going to talk about this, you and I, so much, but my brother-in-law and I went to go see Kingsman, The Golden Circle. I reviewed it, so you should definitely check it out right over here. Or
which brother-in-law?
I saw it with my my brother-in-law John and my sister, his wife Katie, who you'll probably see.
Most recent guest feature.
Yes, he was on last week. So he might be on potentially this week too. We might just kind of insert this somewhere around here to talk about the film. Like I said, I reviewed it, and I know you haven't seen it, but we could talk about it if you want to. But there's I don't know. It's I don't know. It's a movie. That's for sure.
Oh.
Let's just say I got a little critical in a bad way. No, I'm just kidding. But we'll talk about some more. I don't know, Joe, if you're going to see it, but if you do see it, I want you to report back and let me know, because I would be interested to hear what you think about this film. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that happens, it's going to go right here. Hi, everyone. We are back here with John from last week. We're going to talk Kingsman. John, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you, buddy?
Doing just fine. So John and I went to go see Kingsman to the Golden Circle, or just Kingsman the Golden Circle, with my sister, his wife, Katie. And we're going to talk about it a little bit here, spoiler-free to start, and then we'll get into spoilers a little bit more so. But John, I just kind of have a question, like the overall vibe of the movie for you. How do you feel comparatively to the first Kingsman?
I mean, I think the first one, as it is with most sequels, was definitely the better of the two. I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed the second one. I enjoyed the first one more.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I think for me, a lot of it was how fresh the first one felt. Like it was just like it was kind of James Bond meets Austin Powers, but it was rated R, so it didn't like have to uphold any standards. It was just like it could be whatever it wanted to be.
It could do what it wanted, and make the jokes that most like serious spy movies don't do.
Yeah, exactly. So for Kingsman 2, you know, with the sequels and stuff, one of my favorite things about sequels is you kind of hit the ground running and you can just get right into it. And this movie doesn't really waste a lot of time before it gets right into its first action set piece, kind of that car chase that you see in all the trailers. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I guess to take away from this, like this movie, you know, if you're, and this will try to, like I said, will be spoiler free. I will flip the spoiler switch, but this movie is such a mixed bag for me. I did a review on it, and I know you're kind of probably in the same boat with me, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I just think it had a lot of potential, and the trailers, I think, just showed a little too much, and they didn't really follow through, or they just kind of I don't know why they did some of the things they did, and it's very confusing and saddening to me because I thought this one had a lot of potential. And yeah, I'm just kind of curious, how do you feel about this when you were going into it? Were you excited, or were you kind of like tempered expectations?
Always tempered expectations when it comes to movies. Any movies in the last couple of years, I try to temper my expectations because they're usually not what I expect. And with the trailer, you've seen a lot of things in there that you're like, okay, well, we know this is going to happen. So how does it happen? So it's more just kind of interesting to see what they did. Yeah, I like I said, I low expectations. That's kind of usually how I'll go into movies these days.
Yeah, I try to do the same thing because I always say low expectations yield high results or higher results because
right,
like,
yeah.
What were you gonna say, Val?
Oh, it's hard to be disappointed when your standards are low.
Yeah, very true, very true. Do you have a favorite character or a favorite moment from this film at all?
Man. I gotta say, I always like the butler, or the butler character. I forget his name.
Oh, you talking about Merlin?
Merlin, yeah. I like him a lot. I thought
Strong.
I like his character a lot in these movies.
Okay, yeah, I understand. The kind of like the tactical support guy who shows up and does stuff. He kind of has more of a predominant role in the first one because he's kind of training everyone. He's still in this one a bit, but in the first one, I felt like he was kind of there. He's like putting them through their paces and kind of was always like the taskmaster, as it were. Yeah. Okay, so you like Merlin the most. Is there anything, like, without spoiling it, is there like a moment in the film that you really liked? Is there like a certain time in the film?
It's hard to say without spoiling anything, you know.
That's okay. I was just wondering if you were going to be like the end of it or the beginning or something.
I guess if I'm going to pick a point of the movie that I enjoyed the most, probably like the first good portion of it, 20, 30 minutes. I thought was most enjoyable about it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get you there. Yeah, I guess for me, I like just I like everyone knows Colin Firth is back. I think they could have used more of him, but they had such a big cast. It was kind of hard to have him do as much as he did in the first film. But I just love, like, man, that guy, he's like perfect for these films. I just want him to be the main character because I'm like, yep, you're great.
Your sister would 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I know. She's somewhere and she's just like, thank you. But anyway, John, I'm gonna flip that spoiler switch because there's so many things we could talk about. I just don't want to ruin it for anybody. So anybody who has got up to this point and who doesn't want it spoiled, there's timestamps down below. But we're gonna flip it right now. Too many spoilers. Okay. Sparks everywhere. Sparks in my eyes. Anyway, okay. So the premise of this film, John, can you concisely tell me what the bad guy was trying to do?
Which bad guy?
Oh, we'll say Poppy. How about Poppy?
Trying to sell her drugs across the world and yet poison everybody.
Yep. Because if you're a drug cartel, you want to threaten the entirety of your market, maybe potentially kill them,
which somehow makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. And then all you want to do is basically infect the world, basically hold all of them hostage. And then what you tried to do to the president is say, like, hey, you know what? I want you to legalize all drugs so they're taxable and that I can be known around the world. And then also I want it so that way you can't, like, execute or harm, like, us legally. This organization is like, huh? Like, like that was your plan? I don't know. It just seems so, like, they had to go more over the top than the first film where they, like, put those chips in everybody's heads and, like, blew them all up or whatever.
See, I thought the first one did a much better job about creating like a chaotic event.
Yeah,
like you said, it just seemed, like you said, it was odd that it's like this company is trying to sell drugs across the world and yet poison everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It didn't make sense to me, but I wasn't really caring too much. I just was trying to enjoy the movie, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the part for me that made it, like, the worst part was that, like, the president was also kind of a bad guy. And he, like, after hearing the demands, he was just like, perfect, we just won the war on drugs. He's like, every person who does drugs is going to die, and then no one else will ever do drugs again. Right. And he was, like, super mean about it. Like, and it was super weird because, like, one of his staff members happened to be someone who was, like, you know, doing something. She's probably, like, smoking marijuana or something to, like, ease, because she's like, I work, like, 20-hour days, 7 days a week. And yeah, it was just, like, such a weird thing. And then they started stacking people in cages because you get paralyzed eventually if you took drugs, and you get paralyzed before you die. So they're putting each people in individual cages and then stacking them in football fields, which
in an incredibly short amount of time.
Yes, exactly. Well, like I told you, Katie leaned over to me at one point. She's like, "They couldn't make that many cages that quickly." I was like, "That's the problem you have with this."
Yeah, that's the issue.
I was like, "How quickly would a president get impeached, regardless, like, of people who aren't using recreational drugs? Like, there would be people out there who are like, yeah, my kids or like my wife or my husband or my family members are affected by this. I'm not going to stand by and let you just like put them in a cage." Like,
right.
So, like, it was just too over the top. Whereas in the last one, I thought it was more fun, where you had Valentine kind of going around to world leaders, like even the president, and saying like, "Hey, you know what? Like, we gotta fix the world, and this is the best way to do it. And here's a chip and all this stuff." And I was like, "Okay, all right, cool." That was just such an interesting and funny way to end that film, as opposed to this one, which was just kind of strange. But anyway, back to Poppy. Did you like her base of operations? Did you like the aesthetic of it, or were you kind of like, not?
I thought it was kind of neat. I kind of liked the random ruins in the middle of the jungle, made into this like 50s motif all over the place, with all a restaurant, a salon. I think they even had a bowling alley.
Oh yeah, definitely they had a bowling alley for sure. Did you like the implementation of Sir Elton John?
I thought it was great. I wasn't expecting it, so it was pretty funny when he popped in.
Yeah, I thought probably the most laugh out loud moment of the entire film is she has 2 robot dogs, and they're kind of going around. She can have them kill people, and she talks in the beginning how she loves robots because they're so obedient. Yet she only has 2, and she has like 100 henchmen. Very confusing. But later on, she has one of the robot dogs go budgeting. Oh, you're right, budgeting, because she's got billions of dollars. Anyway, so it's chasing Colin Farrell, this dog, not Julianne Moore, which would have been great. But this dog is gonna chase him and kill him, and Elton John is established earlier that when the dogs like look at him, he comes across as friend, not enemy, so they can't kill Elton John. So he kind of pops his head in at one moment right before it's about to kill Colin Firth's character, Harry Hart, and it just plays Rocket Man, and he's just kind of smiling, and then they together team up and defeat this robot dog. It's like, okay, that's pretty funny.
It was to the theme of Rocket Man too, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just Rocket Man. Yeah, it's just like, okay, that's pretty funny. But the rest of it was kind of weird. He was in it like too much. Like when his cameo at first, he's playing the piano. I was like, okay, that'll be kind of fun. Like that one, like the supervillain kidnaps somebody during the kerfuffle of the last film. But now it's just like he was in it more than like Channing Tatum almost. And I was like,
right. And I thought they kind of robbed Tatum's character of really doing more. It's like you seen the trailer, and if I recall the one I seen, it was a good portion of him doing something, and then all of a sudden he just wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I think my buddy Corey said it best. He's a trailer star. They basically just have him in there, and all the things you see in the trailers, like him fighting in the very beginning and then like dancing later on, that's pretty much all he does, which is really unfortunate. And Jeff Bridges is kind of the same way. He doesn't really get to see any action. I would have loved to have seen Jeff Bridges go and shoot some people, because I was like, he's so he played his part so well. And
is that who that was? I didn't put that together. That was Jeff Bridges.
Dude, that guy is so good. And he just always has like a cigar, or he's got some whiskey or whatever, and he's just always like drinking it. It's just like always doing stuff, throwing his hat around, and like he was great. And Halle Berry was kind of the same way. She kind of got sidelined for a lot of the movie too, which is odd. I thought, like, because I would imagine she would be pretty expensive to bring in as another character. I don't know. She just kind of fell flat for me. How did you feel about her?
I didn't like her character too much. I mean, it was the statesman version of Merlin, and I get that. But I don't know. I guess I thought the whole whiskey bit of the statesman was funny. Otherwise, I thought it was pretty dull.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I think more of the movie was kind of just promoting that they made their own whiskey in real life. And it's like, you could buy this right now and you could drink like the statesman. It's like, okay.
That seems unnecessary.
Yeah, it does seem unnecessary. Yeah. Another thing that I thought was kind of strange, early on, they do kill off a few people. Most importantly, I think, is Roxy from the last film, the Lancelot. One of the Kingsmen are presumably dead, which I thought was kind of odd. I don't know how you felt about that. She kind of does one thing for Eggsy and helps him out, and then she just dies, and it's just like, yep.
Yeah, it seems unnecessary. I mean, I get it. It draws emotion, So there's that. Same with when they, I mean, in that same sequence, they kill one of Eggsy's friends. So it seems excessive in reality of it, but it builds emotion for the movie, and it's a ridiculous spy movie, is what it is. So you don't, I mean, it's not gonna make sense at all.
Yeah, well, it's weird that she didn't attack like the statesman too. Like I thought, like if she's gonna wipe out like a spy organization, like why not wipe out? Like she would probably be cognizant of the others, maybe. I don't know, especially if they have like a distillery. It's very confusing. I don't know why she had such a vendetta against the Kingsman first. Maybe because of Valentine, because Valentine got taken down by them, and she's like, oh yeah, I should probably take them down before I hatch my evil schemes. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
It's kind of odd. The women didn't really get a super good outing in this film. I guess the best one would be like Tildy, Eggsy's girlfriend, the princess, which I thought was kind of an interesting twist. Usually in those super spy movies, you don't see like a relationship carry on from film to film. And I kind of I enjoyed that because like him sitting at dinner with her parents and just kind of like worrying about her when he was on mission, I thought was kind of interesting. How did you think about that? What did you think?
I thought the dinner scene was pretty good. I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty funny. I enjoyed seeing her in the movie again, just because I thought the ending of the first one with her was hilarious.
Oh,
Your sister did not think it was quite as funny as I did,
yeah.
but
I don't think a lot of people do.
so it was fun to see her included again. I thought again it played an important part of the movie as far as driving emotion for Eggsy's character. Well, Eggsy as a character.
Yeah, definitely. It made him a lot more relatable because usually in these super spy movies, like the spies have no emotions at all. Like they're just kind of like love him and leave him, and somebody like someone they slept with the night before is dead in a horrible manner the next day, and they're just kind of like, well, like
oh shucks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I guess she's golden now, or something like it's like, or covered in tar. It's like you have nothing. It's like, all right. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. One kind of big controversial part of this film is that Eggsy has to seduce a woman basically to move the plot forward, which eventually you find out you don't even really need to do. Did you think anything about that scene in particular, John? Did that bother you at all?
Nah, not really. Again, just because I went into it thinking it was a silly spy movie. So it didn't bother me. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fine.
Well, I was kind of hoping they joke about this earlier because they basically have to put a tracker on a mucous membrane of this person, and he talks about like putting it in her nose or something. And I really thought it was like a bait and switch because I thought for sure he was going to do something where he just kind of walks up to her, he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he just like puts his finger up her nose. And
that would have been pretty funny.
Yeah, or just like, "Hey, I'm really into like putting my finger in your nose" or something like that. You know, like just to kind of offset and then the direction they went was just kind of like it just seemed excessive and stupid and dumb, and then it would just cause like some conflict with his girlfriend and him, and he's like, I have to do it to save the world, and it was just like there's other ways to do this. I'm sure there are other tracking implants you could use. It's like
it
just seemed really dumb to me. I don't know, it just seemed like they don't need it was just like the end of the first movie. You thought it was funny, but I think a lot of people, it kind of left a sour taste in their mouth how they ended that one, because she was just like a princess who was like trapped, and she's like, if like you save me, we can do whatever you want. And it was just like, it's like, oh no, like I don't know. It bothered me, but I get that maybe some people don't care about it. It's just but I don't know. We'll see if they continue that trend if they make a third one, which I'm sure they will, because I think it opened pretty strong, especially for R-rated. I think it opened at like 40 million here in the States, so that's actually pretty good. Did you think that I don't know, for me, I think it seemed like some of the Americans seemed really bad, like the president and like one of the Kingsmen, one of the statesmen in general. But then there's like Jeff Bridges, who was like a really good kind of example of him. He's like, regardless of who does drugs, these are human beings. We have to protect them. So I was like, okay, there's like one good like American. Like everyone else seemed like they're all just jerks and horrible people. Did you sense that at all?
I guess not too much. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to that aspect of it. It seemed fine, but yeah, definitely the president was definitely a bad guy, and I thought that was pretty good.
Well, I saw that actor like at the beginning. I was like, oh, he's actually like a really good actor. He's the same guy who played Pike in Star Trek. And I was like, oh, I really like this guy. But then they kind of took him into just like super crazy territory where he's just like, he doesn't care about people's lives or anything. And he's just like, just let them all die. Put them in cages. It'll be fine. It was like, okay, all right. It was a little too much. I liked in the first one that like Valentine goes to talk to Obama, actually. Like you don't really see him, but he like, just talking to him, and they kind of pan out and you're like, oh, wow. So I thought that was a little more like realistic. And they didn't. I thought for sure they were going to go do a Trump thing. I thought for sure they were going to do it, and then they didn't. And I was like, all right, they held back.
Right.
Did you think that they were going to do anything like that?
I wasn't expecting it, but it would not have surprised me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it was
sure.
definitely within the realm of possibility with that type of movie. When I told your sister this, and I don't know if I told you this as well, but I see them very much see the Kingsman movies very similar to the Austin Powers movies, of more so like for this generation almost. I know I really enjoyed the Austin Powers movies. I'm sure you've seen them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like 1 and 3. 2 is kind of meh, but
Two was the questionable one. You're right, but they were all still hilarious. So that's just kind of how I went into the movies, is kind of expecting that type of movie.
What do you think of the action of this film? Do you like the kind of snap slow motion kind of flying around the room? Do you enjoy that?
Not terribly too much. I get really tired of CGI. Especially when it's really bad CGI and you can tell that it's really bad.
You and me both, brother. Oh my gosh, that's where
the first 10 minutes of the movie with that car chase was horrendous. It was so hard to watch. It was entertaining for the most part, but it's just hard to watch.
Yeah, I think one of the parts that bummed me out the most is when he's fighting a former Kingsman agent. I forget that guy's name, but he was like the jerk guy in the last movie. And it was cool to see him come back and be a villain. The guy's got a robot arm, and he kind of uses it to steady himself while they're dry. Like he gets kicked out of a door almost in like a high speed car, and he just puts his hand out. And I was just thinking, oh, it's Winter Soldier. I was like, but it's not a good looking Winter Soldier style thing. And yeah,
right.
Just kind of, I don't know. I like the hyper realistic nature of the fights, but you're right. The CGI is just too prevalent. It's like,
well, I mean, that's every movie these days. It's massive amounts of CGI.
Some use it more sparingly, though. Like some of them, I look at some better examples of it. Like there's a lot of CGI in like Rogue One, but they use it for like the ships and stuff. But the other stuff, like they're practical explosions, and they try to actually do as much as they can, at least in the Star Wars films, to offset that. This one, just everything, even like they show a mass of people walking somewhere, it's just like tons of just crappy CGI, and like all the cages stacked on each other. I was like, oh god, this looks horrible. Like it just like the budget, like I thought they just why
it was obviously, I mean, I'm sure they spent a ton of money for actors and CGI and whatnot, but it seemed like low effort.
Yeah, that's speaking of low effort. I had a problem with this, and I talked about it in my review. But did you have a problem with them? There was 2 or 3 scenes that they recreated almost beat for beat from the first film. Did you like seeing those again? For instance, like the barroom fight, like the manners make it the man thing.
I was totally okay with that because that scene was awesome in the first one. I would have liked to. I don't know. Obviously, the first scene was better because it was new. The first movie with that scene was better because it was new, but it was enjoyable, but not as fun as the first one. I don't know, maybe it was just the whiskey character that I didn't like, but
yeah, they really they tripled down on that guy. Like he was like such a focus of that film. It was like, whoa, okay.
Well, like we were talking about, they didn't have enough of Tequila, Channing Tatum's character, and way too much of that guy.
Yeah, and I think one thing that was kind of weird about his character is that he ends up becoming a villain, but instead of working for Poppy, he just says like, yeah, my wife was gunned down by 2 meth heads, so I think all the people who do drugs should die. It wasn't like he was on the payroll. It would have made way more sense if he was on the payroll, and that's why Poppy didn't attack the statesman. And like another reason why is like if all the drugs were gone, he had like stake in the whiskey business, so that way like the stocks would rise like a ton because no one else would, like people wouldn't do drugs, so like alcohol would go up like or something. It was like, okay, dude, so you're a villain because you want to make more money. It's like if you're working for a spy agency, I feel like money's the least of your concerns. Like it's like you have so much money. They have $32 billion in their bank account for statesman. I was like,
yeah, it's just I wouldn't rate it very high. Would I watch it again? Probably not.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what's your rating out of 10 for this, John? I want to know how you feel.
I mean, it's barely a 6, probably. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a good movie, and it doesn't fall into that category of bad good movies for me.
Yeah, sure.
Movies like that would be like the Shaun of the Dead movies in that series, Hot Fuzz, and I forget what the third one is. End
You're
of the
talking
World.
about the Edgar Wright films in general.
Yeah, I think so. Like those are bad good movies that I love. This is not one of them. It's easily it's a 6 teetering to a 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, but like I said, I reviewed it, so people probably already know what I gave it.
What did you
Uh,
give it for those? Or are you putting the review video out later?
oh no, the review's already up now, so people can go watch it if they want to. It might be around your score somewhere. Who knows? Maybe I gave it a 9 and have all the regret and remorse in the world. No, I'm just kidding.
Go watch his review video.
I like the thing about that too, John. I was like looking through those trailers, and Matthew Vaughn spoke out about the trailers. He said that the marketing team showed off way too much, and oh my god, John, they show like the whole film. I was watching these things, I was like, people are gonna know the entire, like every twist and turn. I was like, there's what's his name? Yeah, Whiskey. There's Whiskey, and he's a bad guy, and it's just like why
Well, I
why
think
do you
the
show
big killer was having Harry like in the scene on the trailer. It's like that should have been a twist saved for the movie. That would have been so much better.
I think you're right. I think the problem is he's such a draw for people like myself who really like his character. So instead of what they should have done is they should have teased both of them going, "Oh my god," and like not showed him at all. So that way people would have been like, oh, "Is he in it? Like, is that what they're saying? Oh my god to?" So that way when you go and see the film, you'd be like, "Oh, Harry's back. Yes!" Like, yeah, as opposed to, you're right, showing him off is kind of, I get it marketing wise, but in the long run, it's kind of, it would be like, this movie would be a little bit higher for me if they would have held back on some of those things. And like, oh, cool, sweet, it's good to see.
Yeah, there's things they definitely could have done to make it more appealing to go see. I think not showing Harry's fine, but maybe like a shock like, oh my god, he's here, and then you don't know who he's talking about. It's fine, but
Yeah, well, they even show like the end big fight scene at the compound, and I like that scene. Like, I was waiting for that next like Freebird scene where like in the church we're killing people, but it wasn't that. It was like, it was still cool, but it wasn't like, I just knew it was coming. I was just like, all right, here, just do the scene where they shoot like 40 dudes. Like,
right.
that's like just kind of disappointing. Anyway, oh well, Kingsman. We'll see. I'm sure it's gonna get a third one. Maybe they'll learn from their mistakes. Maybe we'll get a new villain that isn't making her henchmen eat burgers made of old henchmen. Yeah, that whole bit. What the heck? And why the golden circle tattoos? I don't understand. It doesn't make.
It didn't make any sense to me either. Don't worry about it.
That's okay. I just sit there and I know I'm not supposed. I realize my suspension of disbelief should be pretty high for these types of things, but just like there's only so much I can take before I'm like, what's even going on? I'm just like, why is this happening? But it was really fun to see it with you guys in theaters. We don't really see movies a lot together, but especially sitting next to my sister and having her just kind of lean over and be like, nope. Like, just like, it's just like, even she was like, no.
Yeah. And, and I'm sure it happens to all kinds of people too, but we had a couple individuals next to us that would not stop talking.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up because I forgot to talk about this. Okay, not that it changes my score of the review or anything like that, but I am going to implore everyone out there to just be considerate when you go to the movies. Because I had these two women sit next to me who decided that it would be fun to comment on just about everything. And I'm not kidding. She'd be like, oh yeah, he's going to do this. Or she would like try to quote him, or she'd be like, manners make it the man. And I'm like, the movie's saying these words, you don't have to say them. And they just were constantly, and I kind of looked over at him a few times, and it's so weird because you were sitting like literally side by side with these individuals. So if I look over at them a few times, it's like maybe they'll get the message, but then do I have to like lean over and be like, hey, I'm trying to enjoy the movie, so please stop talking. Like, and then you have this weirdness between you, and then you're thinking about that the whole film. It's like, it was so like so obviously, John, you could hear them too,
right?
Did you hear them? Yeah. Oh, God,
it was frustrating, but and that's the main reason why I'll go and just wait until a movie comes out, get it from Redbox, or just watch it at home, because not only am I just tired of the prices of not only the tickets but the snacks and everything, but just having to deal with everyone else at the movie theater is a pain for me. I'd rather have my wife, your sister, and yourself either at my house or your house watching a movie.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. For me, like on opening night though of some of these films, that's the most fun to go to. Like back to Rogue One again, everyone was really respectful because people take Star Wars so seriously. So like when there was a joke, everyone would laugh. When there was like a cool moment, everyone would be like, ah, like that. But it wasn't like people were talking the entire time. People really cared about that, and the Marvel films too. I just wonder if that and like Deadpool, like the R-rated ones, you know, you bring in the older crowd, you bring in some people who maybe are more fair weather, like comic book or superhero fans, so they're kind of like, oh, I can just talk throughout this, it's totally fine. Whereas
Right.
like, you know, a new Avengers, like if anyone talks, I'm gonna be like, hey, guess what? You need to stop talking. Like if for Infinity War, if people are talking, I'll be like, hey, guess what? No, like please stop, please. I've been waiting so long for this, like 10 years. Please stop. But yeah, so please, if you go to the movies, don't talk, please. I beg of you. Like, if you have to whisper, like, you can whisper a thing to your friend, but if you're commenting on every flippin' thing, like, and you're trying to call stuff out, which, by the way, Katie was doing such a good job of this. She would, like, lean over and she's like, yeah, he's a bad guy, or whatever. She'd be like, when did you know? And I was like, oh, at this scene. And she's like, I knew back at this scene. Or she was calling things out. I was, like, sitting next to my other sister, Amanda, who will, like, if you haven't seen a movie and you watch it with her and she hasn't seen it, do not watch it because she will just completely ruin it for you. She will call it all out. And it's just like, oh, well, good thing you know all the plot twists. So that's fine. But yeah, good. Thank you for bringing that up, John. I appreciate that. It's a public service announcement. Oh, boy. But yeah, John, we just need to build our own little theater in one of these houses, man. Like, that's my dream. So that way I could just be like, And I know eventually they've talked about this, kind of these streaming services where like brand new movies that are coming out to theaters, eventually people are talking about getting a format where you could just stream it to your house for like, it'd be more expensive. It's, I think I've heard of these things we talked about in the past, but would that be something that interests you? Like the ability to pay a bit more, but to just have like a brand new, like watch Kingsman at your house, or a movie maybe you're more excited about, you want to watch like immediately?
I mean, you see some movies will go like straight to be able to stream from your home.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because it's hard to say.
Yeah, because I know you're not as big of a cinephile as I am. Like for me, I'd want to watch like Infinity War like on the biggest screen I could. So like that's why I want to go to the theater. But then again, if you wait like 2 or 3 weeks, you can go and have a whole theater to yourself. Just be sitting there myself.
There are some movies where it's like you're watching the trailer and you're like, yeah, that's a movie that I want to see in the movie theater on the biggest screen I possibly can, and the epic surround sound and whatnot. So now, you know, as far as like if they were to like pay like a exorbitant fee to be able to stream it right away to your home, I probably still wouldn't watch it because like, just as much as I don't like paying money at the movie theater, I'll wait until it comes out on DVD or something. I'm fairly patient when it comes to movies.
Fair enough. Yeah, I understand that too, especially some of them where I'm like, yeah, I just don't need to run out and see that right away. So, which this summer I probably should have done that with a lot of them. Oh boy. Yeah, check out all my reviews. You can see that it's been a mixed bag this summer. Thank God for Wonder Woman and freaking Spider-Man. Otherwise I would have been just so depressed. I'd be like, this summer was hard. Yeah, first world problems. Anyway, John, thank you so much for coming on the show again. Love having you here. Thank you for sharing all of your thoughts. I really
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we'll have to have you on again sometime in the very near future.
Absolutely.
And we're back. Look at that. Oh my gosh, it was so quick. It was such a lovely conversation, wasn't it? It's like Joe listened to the whole thing, and here we are through the magic of editing.
It was great.
Yes, it was great. I thought it would cut away from me, but it didn't. Anyway, Joe, before we get into the next segment of the show, we have to take a moment to salute our commander, Jonathan Larson, our $100 patron over on patreon.com. Jonathan, we appreciate you. We salute you, and we love you. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good man.
Good man, and as Jonathan always likes to say, their fate concerns me. Yours does not. Which, again, a quote from Darksiders 2, Death uses his harvesters, he's going to come slice you up. I don't know. John's a big fan of Darksiders, and I love him for it because I am as well. Anyway, Joe, it's time to get to that little segment of the show that I like to call, that you like to call, that we like to call...
Timekillers.
You had one job to do. Anyway, 11. Oh my gosh, so good. Joe, what have you been killing time with besides that? You got Destiny 2 kind of rolling around, obviously.
Yeah, let's talk some more about Destiny 2 like we haven't already.
It's great.
It is. It's freaking great, laddie. It's good stuff. So that's mainly what I've been killing time with. Movie-wise, saw it a while back, talked about that already. Not a heck of a lot on the burner right now.
Yeah.
Haven't been really diversifying much. So yeah. That's saying a lot about Destiny. It's really been soaking up my attention lately.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm right there too. And when I'm playing this game, even when I'm just playing alone and I'm just shooting with my auto rifle, just shooting and just taking down enemies, I like say out loud, "Damn, this is fun." Like I'll just like this is just fun to just hold the trigger down. Like in first person shooters, like you get kind of a good feel, like in Call of Duty or something or Halo. You're like, this is pretty good. But seriously, I don't know what it is about Destiny, and this is with the first game too. It is just legitimately fun to just kill stuff. Turn your brain off, listen to some music. Probably the sound in this game is great. The music's great, everything. But if you've gone through the strikes like I have a few times, you can just throw on some music. You don't really need to like pay attention to what they're saying. But it is just fun, man. It is just a good time. Just like you're just dropping dudes, you're helping your buddies out, you're reviving them, you're putting down like your special abilities, throwing your grenades out, using your supers, and man, it is just a fun game, and it's just even better with buddies. Like you can enjoy this game a lot by yourself, but you get a buddy or two in there.
I love the customization. It gets a little addicting.
Oh, sure. I haven't delved into that too much. I'm like saving my shaders for eventually so I can like.
Jimmy loves it, and he hasn't even gone into the whole, I got a new helm, or I got these freaking awesome gauntlets, or look at my freaking boots. It's addicting. And then the shaders, it's like, I don't want to spend those yet. I want to get something cooler to put those shaders on, because it's like burn them and you're done, and hope you get some more. But it's so addicting. Excuse me. Still a little ginger ale in there.
Yeah.
It's so addicting that it really compels you to want to buy silver to get more bright.
Oh, that's how you do it. How much does it cost to buy like a certain amount of silver?
$5 for like 2 engrams, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you got to. It's like a roulette or kind of like a gamble thing. Like you don't know what you're gonna get in those engrams. And are they just regular like armor engrams? Are they exotics or legendaries or what are they?
It gives you ships, shaders, and I think
the bright engrams. That's the ones you're talking about. Sorry, you can't. Can you buy the other ones?
I don't think you can buy the other ones.
Okay, that's cool. I respect that.
I will say this: I feel like I did it once. I'll admit to it. I did it once because I was addicted. I was unhappy. I was unhappy with the way I looked at the moment. I was like, I got to do this guy up right. I can't be screwing off in PvP and looking bad. So it actually, I felt like, as opposed to earning the bright engram when I did that and paid for it in silver, I feel like it gave me better loot. Some of what I got was a little better. Plus, it gives you like bright dust or whatever. So I was able to pick up a bunch more shaders I wanted to kind of fill out my roster, so I could like do multiples of colors and really fill out my look, which worked really well.
For $5, you got a shader and some armor, or some shaders.
A bunch of shaders, a ship, a bunch of special weapon power-ups and stuff like that.
All the modifications.
Yep. What else?
So would you say to you, do you feel
a sparrow, 2 sparrows?
Do you feel intrinsically like the $5 was worth it to you?
Yeah, I really do. If you're in a spot where you just feel incomplete and you need a little bit more stuff to get that look down, and you're you're a stickler for the aesthetics, I think it was worthwhile.
Cool.
Especially if you're impatient, you don't want to go grind away a couple story missions or something to get a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
So
cool.
Because it takes a while to collect engrams. I found the most efficient way and quickest way to do it is through PvP Crucible. So
sure. Oh, by the way, I will say this though, Joe. Last night I had to complete 2 rounds of competitive Crucible, which was that stupid game mode with survival. So basically, this game mode, everybody, is each team gets 8 lives for their entire team. and then once those lives are spent, then it's just like no one else can respawn, and so it's just like those 4. So think of it kind of like having 12 lives, and you have to do like best of 7 or something.
Yeah.
And it takes forever, and it's just like so much time. It's like, oh my gosh,
it should sometimes you're not even playing. It's annoying.
Yeah, you have to. It's like best of 5. It should be best of 5. So I had to do 2 of those and complete them to like fulfill a mission or whatever. I was like, ugh. But I've just been doing strikes to get my engrams, and even if I don't get really good ones, I just enjoy the strikes. I love the PvE so much, like the campaign stuff and all that. But yeah, I've really been enjoying it, and I haven't even gotten to that other stuff. And I've been getting exotics for the Dawnblade class of my Warlock, and I like the Voidwalker, so I'm trying. I hope they have Voidwalker stuff that buffs my super Voidwalker black hole explosion, because my love of black holes. And even though it's not probably really a black hole in this game, I'd call it that. But I got my arc lightning ability, my unlimited power. The other night,
that one's good and so effective,
dude. In PvP, I was like, when I was playing those rounds, I was like, I'd run into a room and kill like 3 or 4 dudes just in an instant, just like that.
I like my arc cuffs of havoc.
Oh, you're slamming down.
Yeah, or I'm just like, and it just wipes them out. I've literally gotten into like point holds where it's like a room. So there's like 4 of them kind of consolidated, holding up. And I just like, the whole team gone, just like that with one swipe. And then I'll come and I'll get one that respawned, I can go on like a 5 kill streak with my super, no problem.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. Well, and all of this is just to get us closer. Like, you're already there, but I'm getting really close to being able to play the raid with you guys, and I really want to do that. And that's like the last thing I think I really want to do or tackle before I give this game a verdict, because that's kind of the carrot at the end of this big, beautiful stick full of carrots, honestly. Like, this, it's just really fun. I'm loving this game. I've just been playing the strikes again and again. I'm like, it's just fun. I'm having a good time, even by myself. I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah, and from all the, I don't know that we've been streaming a lot of Destiny 2, right? Not together, at least. Have you?
No, I have been streaming it. I streamed some on like a couple of days ago, and then I think I did last week. I try to stream at least once a week just so I can kind of get my fill. But
yeah, it's something where, and I think this would be a fun little thing to do for the viewers who like watching on Twitch. Maybe some of us get together, me, you, Drew, whoever, maybe Levi. And we get a group together, we're playing, and then Jimmy reaches the point where he wants to unleash all his engrams. Get all his stuff high level and unleash the engrams. I want to see what he gets. Because you've been saving them up, right?
I'll start doing that again. I just had to start opening some of them, Joe, because I got some good ones. I got a few good ones, and they're pretty sweet. But again, there are a few that were for like the Dawnblade class. I was like, but like some of the stuff I was getting, I was like, And now that I know how to like make my weapon stronger, I think I'm almost set. Like with the 2 guns I want, I have an auto rifle and then the Sunshot, which is a revolver that's really good. And I just keep buffing those puppies up. I'm just like always and it's so cool to see them jump in power level to whatever you need them to be, or whatever, like what other weapon you break down. Because basically, think of it like this. Let's say I've got, and we're just going to really simplify this. If I have my auto rifle does 20 damage and I get another auto rifle that does 30 damage, what I can do is I can break that auto rifle down if I like the special abilities my auto rifle has, and then I'll bring my auto rifle to 30 and get rid of that other one. So it's really cool. It's a really nice system. And it kind of just says like, hey, if you love a gun that's like a legendary or exotic, you can buff that gun up and use it for the rest of the game. So I love that. That's really cool.
I like it too. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Unless something better comes along, I just keep leveling up the one I like and feel I do best with.
Yeah, and the reason I started opening those engrams, Joe, is because I was trying to like gain level like power myself, and I wasn't able to do that any other way. Like the drops weren't good enough. Like they were just like not as good. So yeah, but some of the things I've gotten are pretty good now. I'm starting to get there. My guy looks like a super weirdo because none of the stuff he has matches, but I'm really hoping to get some Voidwalker stuff because I had like sun bracers for a bit. Now I've got the one where it's got the wings on your back and you can like fly in the air if you're shooting.
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
Look down the site.
Those guys.
Well, if you have the cold heart, that would be the best because if you have precision kills, like you could stay up in the air. So if you have the precision kills with the cold heart and you're just like beaming on a guy with like that ice beam, and like you can stay up there for a while. I've seen people use that in the strikes. So it's like, I had one where it was like 3 warlocks and myself. We all had Dawnblade. It's just like throwing fire blades everywhere.
Which the cold heart laser, cold cold fusion laser deal, I love it, and that was going to be my honorary mention if we were both going to separate it out and do our own. I really like that weapon.
I really want it.
Cool.
I know Joe's got. I know that you have it and Drew's got it. I should say.
You got it, huh?
I think he said he got it. He said he hasn't really played with it though. And I was like, okay.
Good, yeah. When we were doing that strike, I was like, any big guy that came down, I was just like, oh, there's your head, and just held it on him. It really wears him down quickly.
Exactly, and I love it. Oh, so good. But yeah, I guess that's what I've been killed the time with too. I've been watching some of like the last season of The Office. I feel like I just need to finish that up. It's been tough. And Blacklist when I have the chance, because James Spader, I love him. He's super duper great. All right, Joe. Now it's time to move into the final segment of the show. My favorite segment, community feedback and questions.
Good questions.
The community feedback question I had asked to our lovely Legionnaires, which a lot of you responded. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. I asked them a question we had last week, Joe, which was, what's a game that you love that everybody else hates and vice versa? I don't know if you have any off the top of your head, or if you think of any, please let me know. But Ryan says, I really don't like Telltale games, but most people seem to enjoy them. For a game I love that others might not would be the Bayonettas. Ryan, I'm kind of right there with you for the most part, especially with the Telltale stuff. Machine and Soul, our resident Sonic fan, says, I really don't get the love for Mario. I just don't get it at all. I really love Deadly Premonition, which is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I absolutely love that, and I know the context behind it, but it's even funnier that I just don't get it at all. And his British accent, I could just hear him saying it. I won't try. Rick Argometa says, I like Prey, which it seems wasn't shown much love this year, and I despise Uncharted, which is apparently unforgivable. Rick? No, man. If you don't like Uncharted, that's totally fine, and I completely understand. Don't worry. I like Uncharted.
We respect opinions here.
Yeah, we love differing opinions. That's super duper good. And last but not least, Night Warrior 29 says, I don't like people raving about MMORPGs and MOBAs. I understand that. And he said, vice versa. I don't know why people hate on old yet awesome games like Rogue Warrior. And just for fun, I looked up Rogue Warrior, and IGN gave it like a 1.5 out of 10. I was like, oh my gosh. So they're pretty rough on Rogue Warrior. So, yeah. And transitioning right into questions here, Night Warrior asks us, which superheroes based on their powers and abilities, and despite their weaknesses, do you believe would make awesome standalone films? Joe, are there any superheroes nowadays that you kind of think of that you'd like to see? You know, we have a few coming back into the fold, like Hellboy and Spawn and stuff like that, but is there any maybe like from like Marvel that aren't standalone yet? Like for me, maybe like the Winter Soldier could do his own movie, and I was thinking you're talking the AA-12, give the Winter Soldier an AA-12, and like you have that's a good weekend for you, you know, like it's gonna be good, man. Like yeah. Which, by the way, Kingsman, there was a bad guy who used a metal arm to steady himself while he was getting thrown out of a car, and all I could think was, I really wish I was watching Civil War right now. I was just like, Winter Soldier. Not that the Winter Soldier is the only robot arm, but I think personally he would be really cool, like as a spy thriller. Like you kind of take him back to the old days when he was just activated to go kill somebody. I think that would be a really fun one to watch, kind of a Terminator style film. But yeah, Winter Soldier for me is up there. I don't know if you call him. I guess he is a superhero. But Joe, I know you'd probably be down to watch a Winter Soldier film.
I would, yeah. He's like one of my favorite Marvel heroes, so I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of somebody. Are we saying somebody that we've seen on the big screen that we'd like to see featured?
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that most of these people who they usually get a standalone film.
Yeah, should The Vision get his own standalone?
Oh, I don't know. That's an interesting concept. Yeah, I don't know. Because then I think of like all DC, but all of their characters are getting their own standalone ones too. And then I think like
Cyborg standalone? I don't know if they'll do one for
I think there is one coming. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think I mean I'm not like whoa Cyborg. But and the good thing is that like Black Panther is on its way too. So if they hadn't, I'd be like, Black Panther, why aren't you making Black Panther? Make Black Panther. And Ghost Rider has had films, but for goodness sakes, Marvel, please
do it right.
I'm begging you. Make a new one.
Yeah.
I don't care how you do it. Like, good God.
Such a good character that I think a lot of people would love to see done well and shown in the right light.
Oh my
And
gosh.
by that, I mean the flames of hell.
What if this was legit the first R-rated MCU film and it was flipping Ghost Rider? But the problem is they cut back on the budget, which wouldn't be good. So what you got to do is make it PG-13. Because honestly, if I see more Johnny Blaze than Ghost Rider, I don't want to do this anymore. Like it needs to be like an 80-20 split.
Yeah, but the problem is the only Johnny Blaze you've seen is Nick Cage, which is kind of blah. I feel like if they could show him off in the right light and make him appealing, like a Tony Stark, I think it could be good. I think it could. I want to feel investment in the character, not only as Ghost Rider, but Johnny Blaze. I want to understand that it's like two people as one, and the one is just badass, doesn't talk much, and kills people.
That's a good point, Joe. I think you make a really good argument because you want him to be compelling. Because you're right. When I watch Iron Man, I don't think like there wasn't enough Iron Man. It's like he's always Iron Man, and it would be fun to have Johnny Blaze be a cool character where sometimes someone would say something to him and he kind of have like a Hulk moment where like the Spirit of Vengeance would be like not that the Spirit of Vengeance needs to talk to him like Venom or something, but just to be like just like fire in his eyes, like he's like nope. Like he's like I'm gonna kill you. I can't kill you.
Yeah.
I can't.
Or he's gotta go to jury duty.
Oh my God,
Ghost Rider and jury duty. Oh my God, I'm practically writing the script for these guys.
Can Matt Murdock be the defense lawyer? And he's like, I swear he's guilty. And he's like, no, I can hear his heartbeat. He's not. And he's like, no, you don't. He's not. He stole some candy, or something. Like it'd just be like a whole.
When he was a kid, 5 years old, he stole Bazooka Joe bubblegum. Guilty.
I would love to watch a courtroom with old Ghost Rider on the jury, just like they're all like, we're pretty sure he's not guilty, and he's like, I know for a fact he's guilty. Just a hung jury because Ghost Rider's like constantly trying to bring people in on it.
We've been here for 3 days straight. You got to give it up. He's innocent. No, I swear, guilty.
The 5 other people on the jury have just sided with him because they're both afraid and bored. They're just like, I just gotta go with him. It's just like completely.
I swear, I saw his hair light on fire a bit ago. I'm not sticking around for any more of this.
Or just like judge Ghost Rider. Like it's just no jury. He's just sitting there and somebody walks in and he just stands up and just like gives the verdict and then just walks away. He's like
burns the gavel in his hand. He just doesn't care.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be great. Yeah, I think those would be good ones. But I'm trying to think of another one that would be good that we haven't seen get their own standalone yet. But yeah, Winter Soldier, that's one that pops into mind first and foremost. I'm trying to think of any other DC ones. I think about Injustice, and we played a lot of that. I'd love to see Blue Beetle. I still would really like to see that kind of like an Iron Man meets Venom-esque movie. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think he's a cool character. Plus, you got the kind of Spider-Man vibe with him too. Because he's a younger kid. So I think there's a lot you could play off with Blue Beetle. I think Blue Beetle has a lot of potential, but I don't think WB thinks he has a lot of potential. So they thought about that with Wonder Woman. So
what about seeing a better rendition of? Maybe not. Hold on.
Okay.
I thought Scarecrow for a second because I really liked the rendition of Scarecrow they did in Injustice 2.
Dude, what a cool horror movie! Like kind of like Batman Begins, but yeah, that rendition is really cool. Or just put that rendition in for a Batman film. Like he gets the fear toxin, and then he's like legitimately a gigantic, like with a big like hook type thing, chain. Oh man.
I just like the aesthetics of that more than anything. I don't know if storyline would work that well to do it like from his perspective or something. I don't think it would quite have the grab for the fans that you would need.
Yeah, you're probably right. But still, that's a cool idea. I would love to just see like a like a Sinister Six from Spider-Man, but like for Batman villains. Like they just like you bring him in, you bring like Mr. Freeze, you could bring Bane back, but give him Venom and just have them just say like, hey, we're gonna bring the Bat down, let's do it together. And obviously that reminds me, I forgot, he's not a superhero, but I'm still going to always preach that Deathstroke gets his own film. For God's sakes, please do this. I want people to know how good he is. Deadpool's a ripoff. So please, Deathstroke film. It's never going to happen, but I really want. He's right there. He's always watching. He's right here. Anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. Last question comes in from Anna. at GoCritical, hashtag Critical Podcast. What's your dream team superhero team? Well, that's a good one. What's your dream team supervillain team? Can be from anything. All right. Villains is always so easy for me. Magneto, Darth Vader, maybe Sauron for support. He's got the armies behind him. That's pretty good. And Ultron. There you go. That's my villain team. Joe, you got any villains that come right to mind that you just like put them together on a team? There you go. He's like, I can't. There's too many. There's just so many.
Oh, yeah, there are so many.
Give me that gut reaction, man. What are you feeling in your heart? What do you feel in your soul?
In my heart of hearts. Ooh, man. Oh, this is tough. Tough. Crap.
That's okay. I can work on my superheroes if you want to.
Oh. I want to say I really like the idea of Carnage.
Ah, not Venom?
Well, Venom, you can't team Venom up with Carnage. Carnage is just a little bit more off the rails, I like Carnage.
Yep.
I had the other ones on the two. Oh gosh. Red guy, Red Lantern.
Oh,
Atrocitus. Yeah,
with a red team.
Yeah.
Atrocitus plus Carnage is a comic, dude. That's such a great idea. Just like, he's always just like, oh, we must feel rage, and Carnage's like, we must kill.
That's where I'll leave it. I think a team of those two is worse than any team of three you could ever find.
I forgot. I should have put Dr. Doom in there too. I love Dr. Doom. These guys would not.
That's
the team
true.
of villains. The problem: the more villains you get, the more chances you have of them to just immediately start backstabbing each other. Because
Yeah,
the
each
1
other.
second one person turns, everyone's like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm ready. I'm leaving that.
I'm the leader in this group. I'm the leader.
Yeah. Yeah, for superheroes, though, I really like the idea of just these two guys sitting in a room together, but like just Superman and Captain America just talking about just like ideals or something. Just like being like, it's just like they're both just kind of Boy Scouting it up. And it's just like, it's just so hard sometimes because I just always want to do the right thing. And some people look down on me for that. And Superman's like, me too. And
we should start a club for young boys to like learn leadership and survival skills.
And you just have like Batman and Iron Man standing off to the side just going like, oh my god. Like I want the four of them together because there's like the dynamics of just like and you just have Batman just like asking Iron Man like, so what things do you have in place to take down Cap if he gets out of line? And Iron Man's like, what are you talking? He's my partner. And he's like, yeah, I've got this little green gem right here that I can use to kill Clark anytime I need to. And it's like, well, why do you have that? Like, he's like, I trust him about as far as I can throw him, and I don't have super strength,
Yeah, I can't throw him very far, clearly.
Which that's one thing I liked about Civil War is that he didn't have the protocols in place to fight Cap. He's just like, oh, we have to analyze his moves. It's not like he went in saying like, I can never trust him. He didn't. He always trusted Cap to always do the right thing. Whereas Batman's constantly like, Bruce, Clark, at any second, I will put you down if I have to. And, Superman or Clark would be like, I know. Like, I get it. It's fine. I get it. So.
Well, and also Batman and Superman had never met before that.
Well, even after that, he always,
together.
like, even in the cartoons and stuff, he always has kryptonite on him, and he's always ready. And I think Clark has even said, like, if there's anyone who's going to bring me down, like, I hope it's you, because it's kind of like he trusts him enough to do that. But I think the four of them would be kind of fun. And you have like Iron Man poking fun at Superman and Cap just talking to Bruce about like different martial arts and stuff. And he'd be like, man, you're really good at like every martial art, and or Batman would be like, I can teach you a few things. Like, if you want to learn some other attacks, But
I think Wonder Woman would be like a good fifth.
She would, if you bring Captain Marvel in there too. I want everyone to have a counterpart so they can talk about it,
All right, there we go. There's our team. I think that's good.
That's a good six-person team right there. What do you call? I call them the Justice Avengers or something.
The Avengers of Justice.
The Avengers of Justice, dude. There we go, dude. That's such a cool name. The AOJ. Oh my gosh, how terrifying! Like the Avengers of Justice are here. Man, we're gonna avenge justice. Like justice has been done in injustice, so they have to avenge it. I love that. That's great. That's great. All right.
Boom.
Well, there you go. That's all the questions we have for tonight, and that, believe it or not, is the show. But if you have a topic or a question you have for this particular program, all you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to either of us at any time. Anytime you see this, please pause right now and send us a question. But you can find me at GoCritical or at JimmyGood013. If you want to tweet at Joe, you can tweet at
Lever_627. That's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
That is correct. I want to thank a few people, but before I do that, Joe mentioned it earlier. We're streaming on Twitch, usually Mondays and Thursday afternoons, but please stop on by sometime. Say hi. We'd love to have you there. I want to thank This Is Daleb for our magical intro and outro theme, and I also want to thank the one, the only, the best artist I know, Yorin Evers, the guy who does the art for the channel here. If you're ever interested in getting a commission done by him, all you have to do is find him at Niraj28 over on Twitter. Just tell him Jimmy and Joe sent you. He'll do you up right. He's a good man. But if you like his artwork and you want to support us at the same time, the best way to do so is to check out patreon.com/criticalreviews. You can see what various tiers you can donate at, and you get some of Yoren's art and some other things like getting the podcast a day early, which is really nice for those people who just crave it on Thursdays as opposed to Fridays. But either way, we appreciate all of our patrons, especially Jonathan for pledging $100 a month. That's huge. We really do. Really appreciate that. And if you want to help out the show besides that, please consider just sharing one of our reviews, something shorter, maybe not an entire podcast, with a friend. It really does help us out a lot. So if you're ever interested and you're like, I can't, give you money or as much money or anything, that really does help. I mean, don't like shove people's faces in it, but we are here. We're sticking around. This is podcast number 80, and that is 80. We're in it for the long haul, baby. So we appreciate all of your help, and the likes and the retweets. Those also help a lot too. So thank you guys so much. Until next week, which I just never know what it's going to be. I think next week is, let me see here. Next week, Battle Chasers comes out on next Tuesday. I really want to play that game and talk about it. So we'll see what next week brings. But that and Shadow of War, I think, comes out. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. Thank you, Joe, for coming back, fighting through the sinuses. What a trooper.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yes, nice. I'm just so proud. Thank you. And thank you to all of our lovely Legionnaires. We love you guys so much. And just remember to adapt and overcome. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.